Fort St. Frederic, the French citadel on Lake Champlain. In colonial America, it defended New France against British attack and was an important staging ground for French and Indian raids into New England. Standing strong through 2 wars, Fort St. Frederic was ultimately destroyed without ever being attacked. In the 1700s, the Lake Champlain region was a wilderness frontier. This lake and the surrounding waterways provided crucial transportation between New France and the rival British colonies to the south. Fort St. Frederic was built to secure Lake Champlain for the French and prevent British incursions into the region. Construction of Fort St. Frederic began in 1735. The central feature of the fort was a 4-story citadel with an octagonal shape. Each of the 4 floors were armed with cannons and protected by walls 10 feet thick. The citadel was surrounded by an outer wall with 6 bastions, 3 at the square corners and 3 on the irregular section of wall surrounding the tower. Within the walls were several buildings, including barracks, storehouses, and a chapel. The entrances to the fort and citadel were protected by a drawbridge over a dry ditch. A subterranean covered way led from the fort to the lake. The fort's location on Crown Point could prevent ships from traveling north on Lake Champlain, allowing the French to control travel in the region. In 1744, France declared war on England, beginning what is known in North America as King George's War. With the outbreak of war, the role of Fort St. Frederic changed from one of defense to offense. Attacks were launched on numerous targets along the English frontier, including multiple raids on the fort at No. 4 in New Hampshire and Fort Saratoga in New York. The raids launched from Fort St. Frederic were very effective. They kept the British colonials firmly on the defensive until the end of the war in 1748. After King George's War, North America saw a period of relative peace. This truce only lasted 6 years before the struggle between England and France was renewed. In 1754, land disputes in the Ohio River Valley sparked the beginning of the French and Indian War. A series of battles and skirmishes in the Lake Champlain-Lake George region prompted the construction of new forts by both the British and French. The French construction of nearby Fort Carillon put Fort St. Frederic out of harm's way for several more years. Fort Carillon became the primary target for the British. In 1759, the British launched a campaign to secure Lake Champlain. At this point in the war, the French forces were low on supplies and the determination to defend the forts. Fort Carillon was the first to fall. As the British prepared their advance to Fort St. Frederic, the French retreated north to the Richelieu River. Before they left, they set a fuse to the powder stores and blew up the citadel. They took all supplies, leaving nothing of use to the English. They even demolished the garden. They had burnt and destroyed everything. Fort St. Frederic had seen its end. The stone fortress in the wilderness, which had menaced New York and New England for decades, was reduced to rubble by its own garrison. The ruins of Fort St. Frederic are now part of the Crown Point State Historic Site. They stand as a reminder of North America's turbulent colonial history. If you want to see more things like this in the future, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to support what I'm doing, head over to my website where you can purchase my newest full-length documentary.